Have you ever stopped to think about why solitude is a constant in the lives of many who feel chosen by God? At first glance, it may seem like a burden, but in reality, solitude is a powerful tool that God uses to transform us. It is not a punishment or a sign of abandonment. It is, in fact, an invitation for personal and spiritual growth. God, in His wisdom, often removes us from the noise and chaos of the world. This removal is an opportunity to shape our character, strengthen our faith, and help us discover our true purpose. It is in this space of silence that rare gifts and precious abilities begin to flourish, allowing our lives to be transformed in unique and meaningful ways. Today, we will explore together the 6 special powers that solitude can awaken in each of us who have been called by God. These gifts not only differentiate us, but also prepare us to fulfill the purposes He has for our lives with excellence. Each of these powers is a tool that helps us face the challenges of life and connect more deeply with the Creator. Solitude can be a time of reflection, self-discovery, and renewal. It is a time when we can turn inward, confront our emotions, and connect with God in a more intimate way. Throughout this video, we will discover how these moments of solitude can empower us to live more fully and meaningfully. Before we dive into these transformative powers, I want to ask you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. This way, you won't miss any content that can strengthen your faith and illuminate your journey. Let's explore together how solitude can be a pathway to the extraordinary in our lives. Solitude may seem like a lonely and desolate place, but in reality, it is a true emotional training ground. When we are away from the distractions of the world, we have the opportunity to face our vulnerabilities head-on. It is in this silent space that we learn to deal with our emotions and discover an inner strength that we often did not know existed. Imagine David, the young shepherd who became king of Israel. Before facing Goliath, he went through many challenges in the fields, taking care of his sheep and confronting lions and bears. These moments of solitude and struggle prepared him for the great confrontation with the giant. Just like David, those who feel chosen by God also go through periods of solitude that shape and strengthen them. The emotional resilience we develop in these moments makes us unshakable in the face of life's adversities. In Proverbs 24:10, we find a powerful truth. If you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? This passage reminds us that true strength does not come from external circumstances, but from the trust we have in God. When we face difficulties, it is easy to feel weak and discouraged. However, solitude teaches us that even in the most challenging situations, we can find strength in our faith. During these periods of solitude, God invites us to look within ourselves. He helps us confront our fears, insecurities, and doubts. As we face these issues, we begin to realize that we are stronger than we imagined. Each battle won in the silence of the heart prepares us for the greater challenges to come. It is as if we are in intensive training, where each experience strengthens us and equips us to deal with what lies ahead. Solitude also teaches us the importance of patience. In a world that values instant gratification, we often forget that emotional and spiritual growth takes time. When we are alone, we have the opportunity to reflect on our experiences and learn from them. This reflection helps us develop a broader perspective on life and understand that difficulties are part of our growth. Moreover, solitude allows us to cultivate self-compassion. Often, we are our harshest critics, but when we are alone, we can learn to be kinder to ourselves. By acknowledging our struggles and challenges, we begin to understand that everyone faces difficulties and that this is part of the human condition. This understanding helps us develop an emotional resilience that is rooted in acceptance and self-love. When we look at the lives of people who faced great challenges, such as Nelson Mandela or Oprah Winfrey, we realize that many of them went through periods of solitude and struggle. These experiences shaped them and prepared them to become leaders and sources of inspiration for millions. They learned to transform their pain into strength and to use their experiences to help others. Solitude also teaches us the importance of prayer and meditation. When we are alone, we have the opportunity to connect with God in a deeper way. Prayer becomes an intimate dialogue where we can express our concerns, fears, and hopes. This time of communion strengthens us and gives us the courage needed to face life's challenges. As we develop this emotional resilience, we begin to realize that difficulties are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each challenge we face teaches us something valuable and prepares us for what is to come. Solitude, therefore, is not a place of despair, but a sacred space where we can find ourselves and strengthen ourselves. When we look at David's life, we see that he did not become a great king just because of his victories, but also because of the lessons he learned in his moments of solitude. He became a man after God's own heart, because he knew how to face his struggles with faith and courage. In the same way, we too can become resilient and unshakable people, ready to face any challenge that life presents to us. Solitude is an opportunity for us to become stronger, wiser, and more connected to God. By embracing these moments of solitude, we can discover the strength that is already within us and prepare to fulfill the purposes that God has for our lives. Every step we take toward emotional resilience brings us closer to our true selves and empowers us to live fully and meaningfully. When we distance ourselves from the noise and chaos of the world, we find a sacred space where we can hear God's voice clearly. Solitude becomes a precious moment to cultivate our spiritual intuition, which acts as a divine compass, guiding our decisions even in the most uncertain situations. This intuition is not just a vague feeling. It is a deep connection with the Creator that helps us discern the right path to follow. Jesus reminds us in John 10:27, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." This passage teaches us that to hear God's voice, we need to be attentive and willing to listen. Spiritual intuition is developed in moments of solitude, when we can focus and allow the Holy Spirit to work within us. It is in this silence that our senses sharpen and we begin to pick up the signs and directions that God offers us. Modern life is full of distractions. Social media, news, and daily obligations can pull us away from our true essence and from the voice of God. When we allow ourselves moments of solitude, we can silence these distractions and connect with what truly matters. It is in this space that we can reflect on our lives, our choices, and what God is telling us. Spiritual intuition is not something that happens overnight. It is a process that requires practice and patience. As we dedicate ourselves to moments of prayer and meditation, we begin to notice that God's voice becomes clearer. We can feel an inner peace that guides us in our decisions, even when the circumstances around us are confusing or challenging. Often this intuition manifests as a deep feeling or an inner certainty. It can be an idea that arises in our minds, a sensation in our hearts, or even a verse that comes to our remembrance. These moments are signs that we are tuned in to God's will. When we follow this intuition, we find a path that leads us to experiences and opportunities that we might otherwise have missed. The practice of active listening is essential for developing this spiritual sensitivity. This means that instead of just speaking in our prayers, we should also take time to listen. We can do this in moments of silence, allowing our thoughts to calm down and the presence of God to envelop us. Sometimes, The answer we seek does not come in the form of words, but as a feeling of peace or clarity that guides us. Additionally, spiritual intuition is often reinforced through reading the Bible and reflecting on the Scriptures. When we delve into the Word of God, we begin to understand His character and His purposes better. This helps us discern His voice in our lives more easily, as we familiarize ourselves with the teachings of Jesus and biblical principles. Our ability to hear and follow God's voice becomes sharper. It is important to remember that spiritual intuition should not be confused with impulses or fleeting desires. God's voice is always accompanied by peace and clarity, while impulses can be confusing and lead to hasty decisions. When we are tuned in to the Holy Spirit, we can distinguish between what is from God and what is merely a passing emotion. Spiritual intuition also helps us make decisions that align with our divine purpose. When we face difficult choices, we can seek God's guidance and trust that He will show us the right path. This trust gives us the courage to move forward, even when we do not have all the answers. The certainty that we are being guided by God allows us to proceed with faith, knowing that He is by our side. As we develop this spiritual intuition, we begin to realize that we are not alone in our journeys. God is always present, guiding us and supporting us. This deep connection strengthens us and gives us the confidence needed to face life's challenges. When we hear God's voice and follow His direction, we find a greater purpose in our actions and decisions. Solitude, therefore, is not a moment of despair, but an opportunity for spiritual growth. It is a time when we can connect with God in a more intimate way and develop the sensitivity needed to hear His voice. By embracing these moments of solitude, we can tune our spiritual intuition and become more receptive to divine guidance. Solitude often leads us to confront our deepest pains. These moments can be challenging and, in many cases, painful. However, for those who feel chosen by God, these experiences are not just suffering. They become valuable opportunities for growth and transformation. The way we handle pain can shape our character and prepare us to fulfill the purpose that God has for us. A powerful example of this transformation is the life of Joseph, a biblical character who faced great adversities. Sold into slavery by his own brothers and unjustly imprisoned, Joseph went through moments of solitude and suffering that could have destroyed him. However, he chose not to be overcome by pain. Instead, he used his difficult experiences as stepping stones to reach the divine purpose that God had for him. Joseph became a leader in Egypt, saving not only his family but also many others from famine. The story of Joseph teaches us that pain can be a catalyst for growth. In Romans 8:28 we read, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." This passage reminds us that even in the most difficult situations, God is working in our lives. He can transform our painful experiences into something good, shaping us and preparing us for what is to come. When we are alone, we have the opportunity to reflect on our pains and what they mean to us. This process of reflection is essential for transformation. By looking at our experiences, we can begin to understand how they have shaped us and taught us valuable lessons. Every tear shed in solitude can turn into learning, and this learning can impact not only our lives, but also the lives of others. Pain, when well understood, can make us more empathetic and sensitive to the struggles of others. Those who have gone through difficulties have a unique ability to offer comfort and support to those going through similar situations. This empathy is a gift we can share with the world, helping to heal the wounds of others. When we transform our pain into purpose, we become instruments of God to bless the lives of others. Furthermore, solitude gives us space to seek healing. It is a moment when we can turn to God and ask for His help in dealing with our wounds. Prayer and meditation can be powerful tools in this process. By opening ourselves to God, we allow Him to enter our lives and help us transform our pain into something meaningful. This connection with the Creator strengthens us and gives us the courage needed to face our challenges. The transformation of pain into purpose also involves acceptance. We need to accept that pain is part of life, and that, although it is difficult, it can teach us a lot. By accepting our experiences, we begin to free ourselves from the weight they carry. This acceptance allows us to look to the future with hope, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. When we look at the lives of people who have overcome great challenges, such as Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps during World War II, we see that the ability to find meaning in pain is fundamental to resilience. Frankl wrote about how, even in the darkest circumstances, we can find a purpose that drives us to move forward. This perspective is essential for those who wish to transform their painful experiences into something positive. Solitude, therefore, is not a place of despair, but a space where we can find the strength to transform our pain into purpose. By embracing these moments of solitude, we can discover that our experiences, no matter how difficult, can lead us to a place of growth and impact. Every challenge we face prepares us to help others and fulfill the purpose that God has for us. Solitude offers us a valuable opportunity to reflect on who we are and what our true calling is. When we distance ourselves from the distractions of everyday life, we can look inward and better understand our desires and aspirations. It is in this silence that God can show us the path we should follow, aligning our longings with His will. When we are alone, we have the chance to connect with our deepest thoughts and feelings. This time of introspection is essential for discovering what truly matters in our lives. Often, we are so busy with daily obligations that we forget to ask ourselves what we really want and what God desires for us. Solitude helps us to ask these questions and seek honest answers. During these moments of solitude, we can reflect on our passions and talents. What makes us feel alive? What motivates us to get out of bed every day? These questions are fundamental to understanding our purpose. As we seek answers, we may begin to see a clear path forming before us. Solitude also teaches us to be patient. In a world that values speed, we often want immediate answers. However, it is important to remember that clarity of purpose can take time to reveal itself. When we are willing to wait and trust, we may find that answers come when we least expect them. This process requires surrender and faith, but it results in a deeper understanding of who we are and what we should do. Furthermore, solitude allows us to evaluate our priorities. When we are surrounded by other people and distractions, it is easy to lose ourselves in commitments that do not reflect our true purpose. Solitude gives us the chance to reassess what is truly important in our lives. We can ask ourselves, am I living according to what God desires for me? Am I investing my time and energy in the things that really matter? This process of evaluation is essential for finding clarity. Sometimes, we need to let go of activities or relationships that do not help us grow or that pull us away from our purpose. Solitude gives us the courage to make these changes and focus on what truly matters. When we are connected to God, we find a purpose that goes beyond ourselves. This clarity gives us the strength to face life's challenges and motivates us to continue, even when things get tough. Solitude transforms into a sacred space where we can meet with God and discover the beauty of His plan for our lives. The connection with God also helps us cultivate gratitude. When we reflect on our lives and recognize the blessings we have received, our perspective changes. Gratitude allows us to see God's goodness amid difficulties and reminds us that He is always with us. This attitude of gratitude strengthens us and encourages us to keep going, even when we face challenges. Dear Chosen One, if you are living a period of solitude, know that this is an opportunity for growth and transformation. God is working in your life, shaping you to fulfill the purpose He has for you. Remember what is written in Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. This promise encourages us to trust the process and embrace moments of solitude as part of our journey. Allow God to transform your solitude into a path to achieve the extraordinary. Every experience you go through is an opportunity for growth and learning. By connecting with God, you will find the strength and courage needed to face any challenge. I invite you to share in the comments how solitude has impacted your life and what lessons you have learned in this process. Your experience can inspire others who are going through similar moments. Remember that you are not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way. Sparkles.